Greetings and welcome to Elm City Lit Fest, the podcast. We want to thank you for coming with us tonight. Elm City Lit Fest is a celebration of literature, literary artists, and literature, literary artists, and literature of the African diaspora. Tonight, and I am here, I'm Yvette Michelle, founder of the Elm City Lit Fest. I'm here with Emily Mayo, a co-coordinator of the Elm City Lit Fest. Why am I tongue-tied tonight? And tonight, our show is Kids Lit. We are so excited to have a Black publishing company for children's literature here in CT. We keep telling people CT's lit, and it is lit. So I'm going to introduce you now to Dr. Melissa Sujan and her daughter.
Hello.
And her daughter, Olivia Lauren. The publishing company is Lauren Simone Publishing, which is after both of your daughters. Am I correct?
That is correct.
And we have two of the authors with us, Imani, and I'm sorry I forgot Imani's last name, Imani Ariana Grant.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
And Yvette Perry. Oh gosh, Yvette, I'm so sorry. Yvette Phillips. Welcome, Yvette.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you for having me.
And we are so excited. This is like so key for us, for children books to be for us and by us. So it's an exciting thing to do. And Melissa, I'd like you to just tell us a little bit about how you got started with the publishing company.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. So I'm a researcher, I'm a psychologist, and one of the projects that I was doing was using literacy to teach kids engineering, the design cycle. Books have problems and they also have solutions. So I came home to Olivia and I was telling Olivia, I can't believe that in today's day and age that the books are still lacking so much diversity. And Olivia said,
well, if you're so upset, instead of complaining about it, solve the problem yourself.
Right? So she was 7, 8 years old, and she's like, be the solution. And that's part of being in engineering, right? Finding solutions to problems. So she said, Mom, write your own book. I wrote my book. And she's like, Mom, I want to write a book with you. We wrote a book. And then we just kept going. And then the more we wrote, people started saying, how did you do it? And I'm like, let's do it together. And then that's how the publishing house started. So she's Olivia Lauren, and my older daughter is Alicia Simone. So the company's named Lauren Simone.
Don't see it, you gotta. When you don't see it, you gotta make it yourself. So how did you find the authors?
I really believe that once you're commissioned to do something, they find you. So Imani is Olivia's friend. So she said she wanted to write a story. She told her mom. Her mom sought me out. Then her mom referred Yvette, and Yvette referred Ayana, and it was just like referral after referral after referral. And in the same way, we found the illustrators. Like, I knew a parent, they said their kids draw. On Facebook, parents are posting their kids' drawings, and I was like, we want to promote your kids. We want to build your kids' portfolio. So it's really just networking and snowballing.
Okay. Let me get my headphones on. Emily, you have a question?
Yeah, I'll take over. And I guess I'll ask Olivia, why do you feel it was important to keep going and work with your mom and building a publishing company?
It was important to me because once I found out that I love writing, I just kept writing books with my mom and my sister. And when someone loves something that you do and they want to be a part of it, it's just really inspiring.
That's awesome. Very cool. See back. Yvette, are you back? Let's see. She's still trying. I will keep going. Imani, what about you? What got you interested in wanting to write a book?
So my first book was inspired by my little brother because he was very interested in space. So he inspired me to write a poem one summer day. And from there, I thought, why not just take it to the next level and help him to learn more about that topic he was so interested in, along with a lot of other kids who were interested in that same topic. And from there, when I wrote that first book, I just kept going. I like writing because it helps me to inspire others. I want to inspire and teach others with my work.
That is wonderful. How old are you, Imani?
I'm 11, soon to be 12.
Okay. And Yvette also
Hi.
has a book. What inspired you, Yvette, to be a children's author?
My son actually did. When he was a baby, I would tell him a lot of made up stories. And one of the nights when I was telling him a story, I said to myself, why not just write the story? And so that's how I started writing. My son was my best inspiration.
Listen, our children, because we want them to grow and be confident in learning their stories. And the first literacy begins at home, right?
Right, exactly.
So, okay, I got a few questions. Why do you feel that it's important, Melissa? Again, because you did literacy. What else is, or I can ask the authors actually, why do you think your book is important? Imani, let's start with Imani.
So I think my book is important because I want to educate people. I want to teach people more about topics that some kids don't know about. I want to expand people's knowledge of certain things. And my books mostly focus on the category of STEM, mainly the S, which is science. So I want to teach kids more about science.
And do you also illustrate your book?
No, I have illustrators.
And Olivia, what about you? Why do you feel that? Well, you got from your mama, inspired by your mom. But
I like to educate people, as well as Imani said. I also like telling my story because we look at Black books and they talk about the history, and yes, that's important to teach, but we have to remember that we're humans too. We have stories, we have fun experiences. So I really wanted to share that with the world.
Absolutely. So when she talks about like history, she means like the first Black baseball player, the first Black singer, it's always a first. And I'm like, they're regular Black boys and girls running around living their lives. Like Amelia Bedelia is a story of this white girl having fun, right? Or there are all these stories of just kids living regular lives. So why can't Black characters be seen in the same way and share their experiences? Also, Dr. Rudine Sims Bishop says that books should be windows, mirrors, and doors. So mirrors mean that books should reflect yourselves. So if every kid is reading a book and they don't see themselves, then that's an issue. That's a problem, right? Books should be windows where kids can look out to see different people's experiences. And there should be doors where you can walk out and experience something. Like Dr. Sue says, reading is having a place to go, right? Somewhere external outside of yourself. So I feel it's really important for us to have diverse representation. And we don't consider ourselves Black books. We consider ourselves multicultural books and universal design because we have books with kids in wheelchairs. We talk about sign language. We want all kids to be able to read our books and enjoy them.
And Yvette, when your book was published, what was the significance or importance for you for getting your book out there, outside of your son?
my book, it teaches a lot about love, forgiveness, resilience, strength, and bravery. And when I was writing the story, I was focused on having a positive ending to the story. And so that is what my story is about. It's, teaching young kids. And even though it's the tale of Princess Alicia, it's not only geared towards girls, it's also geared towards boys, teaching them how to be independent persons, not, that they have to sit around and wait on somebody else to come and help them. They can go ahead and, help themselves. And one of the things, a lot of times, sometimes it's hard for individuals to forgive each other. But when you read my story and you see how big the forgiveness was in there, you'll really be amazed.
Wow. Okay, so now I'm going to ask if we can hear at least 2 pages, at least, from your book.
Okay.
And can we start first with Olivia, and then Imani, and then Yvette?
Okay.
Okay, there we go. These are just like the first couple of pages. I'm Olivia Lauren, and I love to travel with family. One of the best things about traveling is learning about transportation. The ways we traveled are called modes of transportation. Let's learn about some of them together. I've never gone up in an air balloon. If only it could fly me to the moon. So the book is basically explaining different modes of transportation and how they work. It's called Olivia Travels.
Thank you for that. Are you 11 years old too?
I'm 12 years old. I'm turning 13 in November.
Oh. And do you have more books coming up on the pipe?
We have 4 other books. So this one is called Things We Wear. It's about what we wear and how we wear them, how we use them. This one's called Occupations A to Z. It explains different occupations A to Z. This one is Olivia Connect, showing different modes of communication from the olden days till now. And this is the last one. It's called Guide to Becoming an Actor. It basically explains how to become an actor, because when I was younger, like 7, 8, I was a model and an actor, and people were wondering how I did it.
Imani, have you read next, please?
Okay, so I'm going to be reading about 1/3 into my first book, Disco Balls of the Universe. First up in the spotlight is Mercury. He is the smallest, but has some real fast moves. Next up is Venus. She just raised the roof with her hot tennis moves. Whew, it's way too hot in here. So the book is basically going through space. I'm going through space, and I'm dancing in a party with each of the planets. So it teaches kids about the 8 planets in our solar system.
Can you show us the cover of the book, please?
Sure.
And how did you come up with the title, Disco Balls of the Universe?
So the title was, I came up with that because I was thinking the summer day that I wrote the poem, I was thinking of a name, and I'm like, I wish I was dancing at party right now. I wish I was going to have fun. And right after that, I thought of my brothers, so Disco Balls of the Universe.
And do you have any other books in process?
Yes, I do. So this is my second book, The Golden Life of Sally Sunflower. It teaches kids about reproduction and growth of a plant, how the plant grows, and it teaches kids all about things like germination, pollination, and basically the life cycle of a plant. And I will soon have a third book, which is a surprise.
Okay. And can we hear a little bit from the second book?
No problem. All right, I'll start at the beginning. Imani and her classmates were on a field trip. They visited a plant nursery to learn how plants grow. Everyone went their separate ways to explore. Suddenly, a small voice said, "Hey, down here!" "Who is that?" Imani replied.
Listen, we're gonna post the website for Lauren Simone because these kids got it going on. Like the future is bright despite the political climate right now. Anyway, Yvette, let's hear from you in your book.
Okay, I'm going to read a little bit of the prologue. And here we go. This is the picture, the cover of the book, The Tale of Princess Alicia and Her Animals. Here we go. In the kingdom of Bryce lived a very happy royal family. The castle walls vibrated with laughter as Princess Marcia and her brother, Prince Kevin, raced from room to room. They were very happy children, even though danger lurked around every corner. Their parents didn't tell them about the danger. They didn't want them to worry about anything. Princess Marcia was 2 years younger than Prince Kevin, but they were as close as two peas in a pod. Their parents could hardly keep them apart. Princess Marcia and Prince Kevin kept the servants very busy running after them every day. One day, Princess Marcia was playing with her dolls, and Prince Kevin wanted her to play soccer with him. She didn't want to go. He got mad and kicked her dollhouse, and it broke into pieces. He quickly apologized, realizing what he had done, and said, "I am sorry. I did not mean to." Princess Marcia was furious with her brother and told him, "I will never forgive you for this." Immediately, a shadow seemed to fall over the palace. Fortune tellers had been associated with the palace for many years. They had predicted the future of the children, and their prediction was a very grave one. This left the parents very worried. So they placed a 24-hour security watch on the children. There we go.
Thank you so much for that. So, Melissa, I want to ask you because you have children illustrators as well as authors. So how do you match up? Like, how do you match them?
Great question. So in the beginning, I just had Simon and Zachary. So they did the majority of our characters. And what's really interesting is just to see how they grew. And then I met Lionel Mbat, who's an adult author. He had just graduated college at the time. So I introduced the two of them together, and he basically gave them lessons on how to make their art more digital. So he helped them grow as well. And then, like I said, I just started reaching out to other parents who had children who liked drawing. So like our newest is Zoe Nib. We were hoping to have her on the show tonight. Yeah, and it just kind of grew that way. So our goal is really to nurture young artists. Like if we're talking about telling our own stories, then if stories are written for children, shouldn't children be the authors and the illustrators? You're muted.
What should authors know when they're dealing with publishing companies?
So there's three different types of publishing houses. There are the traditional ones where you reach out to them. Some of them are accepting manuscripts. Some of them are not accepting unsolicited manuscripts. So first you need to know, are they accepting or are they not accepting? And then you have to think about, do you want them to own the rights or do you want to own the rights? So you need to think about the pros and cons for each type of publisher. So you have the traditional one where they take your manuscript, they publish it, they find the illustrator, and you get some commission for it, but you don't own the rights. And then you have self-publishing where you publish it yourself. And there are many different ways to do that, but you have full control. And I want people to be careful with this option, because just because you self-publish doesn't mean you shouldn't still do the other steps, which means like getting an editor, getting a professional illustrator, right? There are just certain things that you need to know. And the third option is a hybrid of these two, which is where we come in. So it's like you have our illustrator, our authors have own the rights to their book. So they own the rights. They can decide to walk away if they want, and they get 70% royalties as opposed to 10 or 20%. So you need to think about the pros and cons for ownership, marketing. When you go to a traditional author, you're still marketing it yourself. So like, what's the benefit? Except they have expertise, they have the experience, and they have relationships with the bigger companies like the bookstores, the libraries, and things like that. So there are pros and cons to either way. So as an author, you need to do your research and think about what the benefits are for you, where your strengths and weaknesses lie, and make your decision from there.
Okay, and I want to ask Yvette, how did you find out about Lauren Simone Publishing?
I was introduced to Lauren Simone Publishing by Shanika. I remember discussing with her that I was looking for a publisher and I didn't really know what to do. I was naive in the whole thing and I did not want to do self-publishing. So she introduced me to Melissa.
And what was the process for you once you met Melissa?
Oh, the process was very smooth. Melissa is the kind of publisher who she involves you in everything, and she doesn't leave you hanging. And what I thought, first of all, just to back up a little bit, I thought that once I wrote the book, that would be it. I thought I would be giving the book to Melissa and then she would be doing the editing and she would be doing the publishing and I would just be sitting back and relaxing until the end of everything. Little did I know that I would be so involved in it. And I learned so much, along the way. And one of the things that Melissa said to me, which really resonated with me, she said, when I asked her, why was I so involved in everything? She said to me that as an author, if she takes over the full editing of my book, then the story wouldn't be mine. So I need to be involved in it so that it still, shows me as the author or portrays me as the author, so that it's still my story, not just her story that she edited the way she wanted to do. So every edit that was done, I was involved in it.
And did you have a vision in your mind for how you wanted it to look? Did you talk about that and go through the process with an illustrator?
Yes, I did. And I communicated through Melissa and everything she brought back to me and to get my approval. Because I did the research at first. She asked me to research, and send her pictures of what I would like mine to look like. And so there were examples. And then my illustrators were Simone and Zachary. And they really did an amazing job.
And how does your son feel about the book?
Oh, he loves it. He loves the book. He was actually here beside me. He just got up just now.
Oh. Imani, what was the process like for you with your friend and her mom publishing the book and for your illustrating?
When I heard that my book was going to be published, I was so excited. I was like so excited, like really excited. So when I was told that I had to do a draft of the illustrations, I got on it right away and I sent it to them. I waited for a while, and after about I would say about a month, 2 months, we got on the editing for the story. Me and my mom did the story before we did the illustration draft. Then we did all the editing, we got it in, everything was fine. Now we were just waiting for the final product to be out, and it took a while. I was getting a little impatient because I was super excited to see my first book, my first new book. So I got a little impatient, and I'm like, Mom, when is this coming out? When is it coming out? Like almost every day. I was very excited. So when it finally came out, I was like jumping around the house. So yeah, the process it took a long time. I would say it took a while, but it was pretty smooth. It didn't do anything. It didn't take that long, but it took a while. Okay.
I keep muting myself when people are talking because I'm like, oh, and I don't want all that happening while you're talking. Because like you all are exciting me so much. It's like, wow, these young people are so brilliant, and just your vision, Yvette and Melissa, like it's wonderful. And I'm so full right now. But I want to ask Imani and Olivia, as young leaders, because you are leaders, if you're putting content out there that is inspiring and teaching other young people, what have you learned from your peers or from other children that have benefited from your book? Yvette, this is a question for you as well. What have you learned from other young people that benefit for your book? So I'll start with Imani and then go to Olivia and then Yvette.
Okay, so I learned a few more things about my topics that I write about. Whilst doing my research, I learned a few things more onto the topic. But other than that, I learned that your work can really inspire people. When you put all this effort and all this waiting into something that you really believe in, people appreciate it. And people are really inspired by your work, which is what motivated me to keep writing. That I was inspiring people. So I learned that when you put in the good work, you get out some good stuff.
I would say one main thing that I learned is I like helping and teaching people, because when people would learn something or they would be excited to read my book, it just made me so happy that someone was going to learn something while actually enjoying themselves. So I learned that I like writing and I love the feedback, good or bad. It helps me grow as a person in general.
One of the things that I'll never forget is one of the young girls who bought my book. She was about 8. Her parents bought the book for her. And her mom, the next time her mom saw me, she said that her daughter was saying to her, "Oh my gosh, Mom, she was talking about me. I know she was talking about me." So her mom said to her, "No, she wrote a story about Princess Alicia." She said, "No, Mommy. She was talking about me." So her mom said, "Okay, so where in the book do you see that she was talking about you?" She said, "Mom, she described me. She said big puffy hair and round, beautiful eyes." So what happened was her mom said she was always telling her that. So when she read that in the book, when she saw me the next time, she said, "Miss Yvette, I know I was in your book. You were talking about me." So for me, knowing that little girls can identify themselves with my book, it is a blessing to me. And to know that it touched lives, even for my students. When I read this story to them, because I have a couple girls now who we're doing remote. So when the session ends, they stay on because they want to hear the story. So I'm going through a reading session with them right now. And I just love how my story touched. And not only young people, it touched adults as well.
It's very inspiring. It's very, very inspiring. And Melissa, what makes your publishing house different from these other ones that
So
are out
before I
there?
address that question, I just want to piggyback on Yvette. It's like when you're growing up and all you're reading about are stories that are white kids with blonde hair, straight hair, it makes you wonder about your value. And then to read a book like Yvette's where there's poofy hair. So like if you watch Netflix bookmarks, a lot of the stories about skin color and hair texture, they're addressing the topic directly. But sometimes we don't really need to address it directly. We just need to see ourselves when we talk about those mirrors, the representation, right? So I truly enjoyed Yvette. When I got Yvette's manuscript, I was like, yes, because our publishing house, now to answer your question, is about empowering young people, educating young people. So I love Imani's books because we believe sternly, very firmly that we should increase the pipeline for STEM. And it doesn't start in high school. It starts very early, right? We see that a lot of kids, especially girls around the age of 13, they no longer are interested in science. Why? Because when they think of a science, they think of Albert Einstein, Steve Hawking, Isaac Newton, all white, old men in lab coats. But when you can start seeing scientists like Imani, like a little girl who is planting a seed or dancing with the planets, girls now can see themselves very early as scientists, and then they'll move into those fields, right? So it's really about cultivating minds. And I think that's how our publishing house is different. One, we really push diversity, and diversity not just by race, but by ability and by age, because we're using these young authors and young illustrators. So I think diversity is what makes us really stand out from others. You're muted.
I keep saying that. I love that in your mission is to publish high quality, multicultural literature written and illustrated by young authors. That empowers, that's empowering in and of itself. And it's like so gratifying. And we have a few comments on the Facebook page that people are loving this, is very inspired. And one of our writers that was Sharika Ford, who is also has a couple of children's books, she said she's very inspired by this as well. So how can illustrators get their way to you? How do they get make their way in the industry? And do you network them?
So yeah, they can email us and they can choose to work with us, or we can guide them and just give them direction about like how to become an illustrator. So yes, we're very interested in empowering. And I think kids also enjoy that they're getting paid. They're getting paid to do something, right? So it's very important to just have kids realize that they're valued, they're smart, they're brilliant, they're talented. And it just works in really building our community and building the future.
And for the authors, how has can you hear me? Am I echoing? Echoing. Okay. How have your families well, Imani, I see your mother's like your number one fan. She like got you out there. But how have other people in your family have they read the books? Are they celebrating with you? Tell us a little bit about that. And your friends, your family and your friends. Imani and Olivia and Yvette.
So when my first book came out, I sent some copies to my family, and I got a lot of text messages from my mom saying, "Oh, we're so proud of you. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you did this. This is amazing. I'm so proud of you." And it just filled my heart with joy. When my friends first saw it, they were amazed. And I was amazed myself. I was proud of myself. They were proud of me. And I'm glad that people enjoy my work and my family and my friends.
Yes, same. Like when I showed it to my family, they were really supportive and excited for me. Almost all of my family members bought my books and they post on social media, just supporting me and really spreading out our work. And it made me feel really good. Like these are my family members and they're here for me. When my friends saw it, they were kind of just like surprised that I wrote all these books on my mother and they like didn't know about it for the longest time. And my teachers were excited. They were like, read the book in class. And everyone was just really supportive and happy for me.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate. Our community has embraced us. We're in the town library. The schools invited us to a spring forum where Olivia Travels. So yeah, we really felt loved and welcomed and supported by our community.
So when my family found out that I had done everything, I got my book published, and I completed writing it, and I'm having it out there, they were excited for me. And I have gotten a lot of support from my family and their friends, and over social media, whatever I post, they are sharing it. So I have gotten a lot of support from my family. My friends as well, I have gotten a lot of support from my friends. I remember when I had my book launch, I was blown away because I didn't know that so many people would have been there. I mean, Melissa, you were there. There were standing room only and people outside looking in. It was just amazing. And I've gotten that since then too. I've still gotten the support of friends. I remember speaking with one of my friends a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about my book, and she said, Yvette, I'm still amazed because when you told me that you were going to write a book, I was like, okay, all right, yeah, man, go ahead, write a book. When you told me that you completed the book, I was blown away. She was like, oh my gosh, I have a friend who is an author. So I've gotten a lot of support. I feel so blessed with everything that is going on. I'm really blessed.
Yeah, and I wanted to just hop in and say, Olivia and Imani, you said, Olivia specifically said that you're also an actor. Do you see yourself becoming an actor when you grow up? Do you want to do it all? Do you want to keep writing?
Right now, I'm doing it all, but it really depends how I feel. I do eventually want to take over the company and keep working on it, so that is going to be one of my main goals. But if it ever happens to be that I get a big role, then yes, I would definitely continue acting.
Amazing. Do both. Do both. Imani, what about you? Where do you see yourself in like 5 years? See yourself still writing? Do you want to go to school for the sciences? What about you?
So I want to keep writing, definitely. But I would see myself going to college to become a pharmaceutical scientist. A pharmaceutical scientist is a person who makes medicine. So I've always wanted to work in the health department. So I thought I would take up that job when I grow up. And I will definitely continue writing. When I first started writing, my goal was 20 books, and I am determined to achieve that goal. So I'll be doing both.
I love it. And Miss Yvette, you see
Yes.
yourself continuing to write?
Oh, yes. I am working on my third book. Actually, I have another book, which is the Princess Alicia activity book, and that has puzzles in there that had pictures to color and mazes and stuff. And this is actually the cover of it, Princess Alicia activity book. And yes, I am working on my third book.
And will it still be a children's book?
I think I may. It's gonna be a children's book, but I also have something for older the older general.
That's exciting. I would love to read it. I was sitting here thinking that I was sitting here thinking that I haven't read many children's books lately because I don't have kids, but when I do, I always pick up, it always reminds me of the messages that authors are wanting to, convey in their work. So I'm definitely picking these up.
Okay.
And my daughter is 31, but I give children's books to a lot of people. So I was really happy to hear about the publishing company and all the artists and authors that you have. It's so inspiring. So how many are you up to now, Melissa? How many authors and artists?
I believe I have 10 authors and 5 illustrators.
5, 6.
6.
I think 6.
Wow, that's commendable.
Yeah, so we're growing. We're growing.
And how many? So you said you were in the schools and in the libraries. Is that in the Greater Hartford area? Are there any other areas that you're in outside of the state of Connecticut?
Atlanta, California,
Okay.
Jamaica. There are a couple others that I'm not thinking of right now, but yeah. Imani just did a conference with Bahamas, right? So yeah, and Imani is the president of the LOL book club. So we did a summer camp this summer and we had over 5 countries represented.
Yes, tell me a little bit more about the book club, Olivia, and how you got that started and what goes on. How long?
Okay, so that actually wasn't me. That was Imani, but I am vice president of the book club.
Go ahead, Imani.
Imani.
So during the summer when I first moved here, I wanted to make friends a little faster than I was. So I was brainstorming with one of the friends that I made. And I thought, since I loved reading and she loved reading, and so we thought, why not start a book club? We could start a book club and get some kids interested in. That would help us to read more and make friends. And from there, it just took off. Once I wrote my first book, I thought I'd incorporate that with the book club. And we have the mom vice presidents, we have the vice presidents, and the attendees. And I started my book club when my book club first took off. It was when I was in elementary school. And it's been the book club started about a year and a half ago. And we've been doing really well. We have authors come in from around the town, now from around everywhere, around the country, come because we're online now because of the quarantine. We have a lot more authors coming and presenting their book. They have a lot of fun activities for us to do. And you can register at lolbookclubinc.com. And that's the book club.
And what does LOL stand for? And how many members do you have at this time? Do you think? And how often do you meet?
So we meet once a month. And how many members do we have? I don't exactly know.
We have about 15 consistent members. And we meet usually the 3rd Wednesday of every month, but our next meeting will be October 28th at 5:30, and we have 3 lovely authors. We have Ernest Hadrick, we have Carrie Firestone, and we have Janice Owens. And the way we do it is that we put kids in breakout rooms based on their ages. So the author will share their books, and then the kids will discuss. And it's not just, you don't just come and you sit and you read. They're always fun activities, like whether puzzles or reflections or different games. We've had to be really innovative because it's online now.
Wow, that is so inspiring, and I'm speechless. Where do you see yourselves in the? Oh, she asked you that, right? In the future, like I'm repeating questions. I'm like, I want to read the books. So I think we're gonna go back to. Let's go back to your stories. We have like 15 minutes left. And if each of you could read a little bit more from your stories, it would be great. Olivia, we can start with you and maybe a little bit from one of your other books.
So this is Olivia Connect. My friends talk a lot, and I mean a lot. They use so many devices made for oral communication. Rosa video chats while uses the computer, while Adam does the same using his tablet. Harriet talks on the telephone. Xavier talks on his cell phone, while Nelson uses the payphone. Other devices we use are the radio, television, video games, and even virtual reality.
Thank you. Yvette?
Okay, I'm going to read a part of chapter 1. In a faraway land, there lived a wicked witch of the dark woods. Not too far away at the edge of the woods, there lived a beautiful girl named Princess Alicia and her father, King O'Neill, in the kingdom of Manchester. King O'Neill named his daughter after his grandmother, who held a very special place in his heart. Princess Alicia had now grown to the lovely age of 13 and was just as beautiful as her great-grandmother. She had big brown eyes, woolly and puffy black hair, and beautiful toned chocolate skin. She was tall and strong. Unfortunately, Princess Alicia's mother passed away when she was only 2 years old. She did not remember much about her. Her happiest times were those spent with her father, looking at family pictures. He loved to tell her stories about how much her mother adored her. Her father had not remarried, and she was his only child and heir to the kingdom. Princess Alicia did not enjoy staying indoors. She preferred to be outside playing with the animals. King O'Neill had tried on many occasions to get her to spend more time playing inside with her dolls. Every day she dressed in her beautiful gowns. Princess Alicia asked her father daily for the seamstress to design pants for outdoor play. King O'Neill repeatedly responded no. He wanted her to play indoors. The princess would sneak outside every day to play with her beloved animals. She made every effort not to soil her beautiful gowns. One day, Princess Alicia soiled one of her gowns, but she was able to hide it from her father.
Thank you for that passage, and Imani.
Which one would you like me to read?
Let's hear from your second book, the second book.
All right. My name is Sally. I am the little seed beside your feet. Can you please help me? Sure. How can I help? Put me in soil and make sure I have enough water and sunlight, but not too much, instructed Sally. Okay, I'm on it. Imani found Sally a perfect home in her backyard. Every day, she checked on Sally. Wow, Sally, you grew into a sprout. Can you tell me what happened? Asked Imani. When you gave me water, you gave me life. My seed became activated and developed roots, which anchored me to the soil. My seed also provided the nutrients I needed to grow into a sprout. This process is called germination. Continue to give me water, and my roots will deliver all the nutrients to my stem and protect me from erosion, answered Sally. Wow, that's a lot of information to digest, laughed Imani. Let's see. So, if I found you at a plant nursery, then maybe you're a type of flower, guessed Imani. What type of plant are you going to be? Sally smiled and said, Let's figure it out together. Imani kept on watering Sally and waited for her to grow. A week went by and Sally grew and grew and grew. She had a long stem, wide leaves, and a beautiful yellow flower. Wow, Sally, you look amazing. I never thought you would be a sunflower. Yes, that's right. I am Sally Sunflower. Thank you for taking care of me, Sally said gratefully. Oh, Sally, I have a great idea. Let's take a selfie together, Imani requested. Sure, that would be lovely.
Thank you so much, Imani. I think we have Olivia. Would you like to read for us?
Would you like me to read more? I just read the first time.
Okay. We're running out of time, so I want to ask you all, what are you reading right now?
I'm reading Paper Towns by John Green.
I'm reading Dress Coded by Carrie Firestone.
Yvette?
For me right now, I am not really focused on that because I am doing so much right now in getting myself together because school just started and we have been doing remote and we're now going back into school. So that has been my my focus right now, and it's a lot to digest. So we actually are going in for the first time tomorrow. So pray for us.
Oh, so you're a teacher?
Yes.
Is what you're is what is
Yes.
what is it, a grade or a college, or what do you teach?
Third grade.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, we'll pray for you.
Thank you.
Imani, what are you reading right now? What's the book club reading?
So the book club, we are reading some books by our authors next book club meeting. And I just finished Dress Coded by Carrie Firestone like a week ago. And right now I am reading a book called Lightning Girl. It's about a girl who becomes savant when she is struck by lightning. Savant meaning she becomes very smart. One side of her brain isn't working properly, so the other side is overloaded, basically.
Thank you. I'm going to look for that book too, as well as all of your old books. I want to say, we have to wind down. I want to say thank you so much. This has been, I mean, if you look at the comments on Facebook, we've been getting a lot of people enjoying it. People are sharing this podcast right now with their friends and family. And we have a viewer that is a co-owner of a bookstore in New Haven called People Get Ready, Lauren. It's like so wonderful. So I'm sure she'll be looking forward to, she'll be getting in touch with you about getting the books in her store. She delivers all over New Haven and is still open for deliveries. And I am so inspired, and thank you. Continue. And I'm sure, Yvette, you have much fuel for your students with being a part of this publishing company. I want to thank you all for coming on. This was lit. This is what Elm City Lit is about. It was a lit show. I learned just from Imani's book, like things about science that I forgot. I probably somewhere in the back of my head. But we will be.
Thank you so much for having us, Ife and Emily. We really appreciate being here. Thank you for the opportunity.
We want to encourage people to buy the book. Buy the book. Get your dollars out there. Get on her website, Lauren Simone Publishing. All the books are there. All the information is there. She has a lovely website. It's easy access, and we want to encourage people to buy the books, because we have to buy things. I mean, like you said, you have a range of topics. You deal with like disabilities and different things. And this Savant book, who would have thought? So we're going to say good night for tonight, and thank you all for tuning in to the Elm City Lit podcast. And we look forward to seeing every 2 weeks, and blessings and much success, to continued success to all of you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.